All right, checking the microphone. Already set and on. All right. Check. All right, good morning and good evening, everyone. We are going to start our webinar soon. I hope you can clearly hear me. I would like to say welcome to Dr. Anand Maria, who just joined this morning. Hi, Dr. Anand. All right, hello everyone. Good morning and good evening. Yeah, this is early morning in South Asia, and I'm pretty sure it's already evening in USA, Brazil, and etc. And also maybe it's early, close to down in UK and some part of Europe. So today we are going to watch the webinar series in digital orthodontic. I have some great and also famous speakers here. I'm going to introduce the speaker after this. And this webinar is a webinar series in digitally. We initially have Dr. Anand as the speaker. He spoke about cephalometric analysis, and today we have Dr. Celestino Nobrega, Dr. Firdaus, and also Dr. Katiravan from Malaysia. And next week we have another speaker from UK, Dr. Stephen Decker, who going to speak about the lingual bracket. So, all right. We are not going to wait for more long because we have some participants already come in, and I'm going to introduce our today's speaker. Good morning for Dr. Celestino Nobrega. So our first speaker is Dr. Celestino Nobrega. He's from Brazil and now he lives in New York. And I'm going to read your curriculum vitae, Dr. Nobrega. Please hold on. All right. Dr. Celestino Nobrega, he has a Brazilian nationality. So, and also he's a permanent resident in United States of America. And our next speaker after Dr. Celestino will be Dr. Katiravan Purmal and Dr. Firdaus Hanapiah. They are from Malaysia. They are oral surgeon, and also for Dr. Katiravan, he's also an orthodontist. Okay, and Dr. Celestino Nobrega, he's an orthodontist. He got his DDS, MSCD, and also PhD. And he was working for CCO bracket system, if I'm not mistaken. And he's the one, I think you're the one who invent CCO bracket, right, Dr. Celestino, if I'm not mistaken. And also Dr. Celestino Nobrega is a R&D in digital orthodontic coordinator for Lightforce Digital Bracket in Cambridge, USA, and also the developer of SLI Bracket, in Morelli Orthodontics, Brazil, and he's also the clinical associate professor, Department of Orthodontic in Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, right? And he's also the program leader of Linhart Center for Continuing Dental Education at NYU, New York University. And also, Dr. Nobrega is the CEO of Ortego Institute of Digital Dentistry in San Jose dos Campos, Brazil. And he also the scientific reviewer for AGODO from American Association of Orthodontists. And the last and not least, he's also the scientific reviewer for PMLS, photo medicine, laser, and surgery. And today, Dr. Celestino Nobrega is going to speak about 3D printed bracket. So please go ahead, Dr. Celestino Nobrega, and please give big applause for Dr. Celestino Nobrega.
Okay, can you listen to me now? Right. So thank you so much. It's an honor being here among great names of orthodontists. No, we are far by distance, but we are close by heart because we are close friends. Myself, Dr. Maria, Dr. Firdaus, Dr. Kathy, Ari, we are close friends. So we are distance. The distance is no. We are in the other side of the planet, but we are very close by heart because we are close friends. So I'll start sharing my screen with you guys, and let me go into the presentation that I prepared for tonight. So I'm not going to introduce myself anymore because no, thank you, Dr. Ai, for the kind words and the introduction. I mean, I'm living here in the United States for a long time, and I started working here in the United States since like 1994. So it's been a long time here for me here in the United States. So this is Port Jefferson, my little town. It's like 70 miles, 50 miles far from New York, from Manhattan. It's a very, very special place. It's a small town, like 1,000 inhabitants. A very nice place indeed. We are very family here. So I have this company in the United States. So I've done some research for big companies like Dentsply, like Straumann and other companies in orthodontics. And this is the office we are going to start to run in Orlando. And I have a very nice partner there. He does the restorative dentistry. It's a very, very nice office. And we have all of the digital stuff right there, like Dr. Firdaus has in Malaysia. Not that big, but this is my wife. She's also an orthodontist. And this is my kid, Pedro. He's about to graduate within 2 weeks in finances. He didn't want to be a dentist, Dr. Firdaus, unfortunately. But no, no. Because, you know, here in the United States takes like 11 years to become an orthodontist, 11 years. So it costs like $700,000. It's big money. And he told me, okay, I want to go. I want to make money faster because you guys, you are orthodontists, you work so hard. This is true, right? So this is my office in Brazil. And this is the program we have in NYU with Dr. Firdaus. And this is Case Western. And some of my friends have been there. Kathy and Firdaus have been there in Cleveland, Ohio, the new building. This is the group of residents we have. So I'm so blessed because, you know, through NYU, I was able to connect people and making amazing friends like you guys. And Dr. Kathy, we had a great time in LA last year. Unfortunately, this year was kind of complicated. And you know, this is Malaysia. I have passion for Malaysia and other countries, but Malaysia and Brazil are quite similar. You know why? Because we are very happy people. We are very happy people, and we have durian in Brazil as well. And under another name is jaca, but we have durian too. So we are so close, so similar. That's why I really feel at home when I go to Malaysia. So let me talk about this. Let me check it. Okay, we have time. So we have some choices for treatment, for ortho treatment, like brackets and wires. And this is my expertise, brackets and wires. And I started with aligners a couple of years ago, so I'm still learning about aligners. And I found some very interesting things about aligners as well. So options, right? Choices. And sometimes you can have like a hybrid situation For instance, I could have like a brackets in the lower arch and a liner in the upper, or vice versa, or even transitional, like starting with aligners, starting with brackets and going from brackets to aligners. I'm going to show some cases like this. So I truly believe that from now on, things are going to be different. You know, we are thinking differently now. I was talking to Dr. Friedhaus about this. It's a very, very unique moment for us. You know, the lockdown, we are living lives with our families. So we are going to be different from now on. Our patients are going to be different from now on. Different behavior. They will be probably more demanding than ever. So I think this is timing for teledentistry and for digital orthodontics like never. So okay, so let me start a quick comparison here. This is the year I started doing orthodontics in Brazil, 1984. Actually, I didn't do this technique. This is bag technique, but I started with edgewise, not this one. But this is 1984, right? So 2019, we launched this bracket here in America. This is the Innovation X system. It's an interactive system. It's a very nice bracket, pretty beautiful, interactive, and they have this. I'm gonna show you some cases, but this is the thing, you know. This is 2020, okay? And now we have this possibility here. I remember Dr. Friedhaus and Dr. Kathy and Ari, we talked about this 1 year ago, and now this is reality, you know. This is the point, you know. We can like prepare a setup like for an aligner. I'm gonna show you the platform. It's the same we do for a aligner. I can have this here, the crowns and the roots, and I have, okay, this is the perfect situation for my patient. And after doing that, after that setup, the perfect position for crowns and roots, we can print the brackets in ceramic. I mean, this is not a drilling process, but a additive manufacturing process, printing, not milling. Okay, it's different. It's a very, very interesting concept. And in my opinion, this thing here, this concept will change the world of orthodontics like never. And this is forever. So we are just starting. This is a journey that we are starting now. So I want you to join me in this journey. So this is about, we can have brackets. Okay, we can treat our patients through aligners. We can have hybrid situations like brackets and aligners. And then you can have like transitional from aligners to brackets or vice versa. But now we have customized brackets, fully customized, like 100% tailored for this patient. So from now on, we can have Dr. Ari's prescription for patient Friedhaus, for instance, okay? Customize it 100%. But let me start with this. Let me start with one case. So here we have, again, brackets, aligners, hybrid, transitional. What's the best choice for the patient? So let me start with this patient here. This is a typical patient from Brazil. And I know that in Asia, you have the kind of the same problem, like biprotrusion and a lack of space for upper canines and lower canines, a lot of crowding. Some places here in America, United States, we don't see many patients like this, depending on the state you're practicing. But in Brazil, I have a lot of patients like this. So you can check here that we have a biprotrusive lips, right? She's poor, very poor in the chin. She deserves a genioplasty here, maybe. So this is the patient. And take a look at the dates. Now, this is June 2016, okay? So this is the initial malocclusion. Again, this is my question, you know? I would love to treat this patient under aligners. I would love to have all of my patients under aligners. You know why? Because when I treat with aligners, there's not a lot to do. I mean, manually, you know? You take a lot of time to plan the case in the computer, okay? A lot of time for planning and thinking about the case, but in a daily basis, you don't do many things. No, you can't. When I have a patient under aligners, we can see the patients every 8 weeks or so, and like 15 minutes appointments. But a case like this, for me, I'm not very well trained in aligners yet, but I would never do a case like this under aligners. Looks like very clear to me, the situation, you know, because we have a lot of a lot of crowding, upper and lower. I have blocked canines and upper and lower arches as well. And it's very, very complicated, like closing spaces with aligners. It's not that easy. So take a look at the case, okay? So this is April 17. So we started with a 16 centalloy. So it's a very, very flexible arch wire and has an excellent memory, arch form memory. So this is 16 centalloy, okay? So you can notice here that we extracted upper first bias and second lower bias. Take a look at the space we gained here by extracting second premolars and first premolars in the upper. I want you please to pay attention on this space here, 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 and there. So this is the first arch wire, 16 centalloy. Very, 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 very gentle, soft, and smooth, and it's a very good wire. So 1 month later, we have this situation. This is a 2020 bioforce. I'm going to cover this topic here. I'm going to talk a little bit about 20 by 20 bioforce because, you know, in my opinion, 20 by 20 bioforce in this kind of situation, it solves like 85% of the case. It's not that fast like this. No, it takes like little by little, but this arch wire here will promote like leveling, aligning, and we will provide like torque expression, early torque expression, and also rotations. So I think this is a very interesting, there's no magic in the brackets. You guys know about this, okay? There's no magic, but this is a very nice combination, like interactive self-ligating brackets and 20 by 20 bioforce, and I'll show you why. So again, June 17, 20 by 20 bioforce. We call it the stage 1. Stage 1 is 16 centalloy and 20 by 20 bioforce. This is October. So 4 months later, I have this situation. I apologize because this elastic here is supposed to be like in triangle, right? It's a very, very soft, it's not heavy. No, it's very, very light. Rubber band here, like 15 to 70 grams of force. But you can see here, this is the same arch wire. This is the same 20 by 20 by force. Same 20 by 20 by force in the upper and the lower, okay? And my goal here to skip to the next level, to stage 2, is by having 2 arch wires absolutely parallel to each other, you know? And everything will be like leveled, aligned, and torque expression will be done, and rotations will be controlled by this arch wire. 20 by 20 by force. So this is October. So this is November. And now I can see here that in November, I have the 1925 stainless steel in the upper and the same 20 by 20 in the lower. And I'm keeping here the elastic. So this is my question, you know. From now on, by placing 2 pairs of arch wires, I have this situation. Okay, so we started from here to here within 2 pairs of arch wires. So maybe, you know, maybe we could, from now on, we could finish the case by brackets or maybe under aligners, you know. But for me, I'm not very well trained yet. For me, it's very, very hard to close spaces with aligners. But we have other situations that I'm going to show you. So again, I finished this case with brackets. So take a look at this situation here. This is kind of interesting. So take a look at this. Let me try to do something here. Okay. No. Okay. Let me go back. So that's the situation. Okay. Can you see here that I stretched this coil from the first molars to this crimpable hook here? The same here. The coil was stretched from this molar to the crimpable hook. So there's a huge difference here. Why I didn't place the coil from here to the canine brackets? You know why, right? Because if I stretch this coil from here to the canines, I could open a diastema here, another one right there. And besides, I would transfer all of the power of the coil only to the canines. But when I have this situation, this very simple crimpable hook right here and there, I transfer all of the energy, all of the resilience of the coil. I transfer for all of the 6 crowns, the 6 teeth, you know. So this is pretty interesting. So you can see the same here, the lower arch. Let's suppose that I had an overjet here. If I had an overjet here, I would stretch this coil from the crimpable hook to the second molars. I stretch it from the creepable hook to the first molars. You know why? Because I just want to bring the molars forward. I just want to burn anchorage here in the upper and lower. That's why I stretch it from here to the first molar and not to the second molars. But there's something else here. Take a look at the situation. So this is the coil. I stretched that coil like 15 millimeters, and I have exactly 150 grams of force. You can see here. And now I stretched the coil like 10 millimeters, 10 millimeters. And you know, I still have the same 150 grams of force here. So those coils are very interesting because, you know, you don't need to change it for another one. Believe me, believe me. Let me go back to the beginning. So which one is the main goal now for dentistry, and of course also for orthodontics? Is treating the patient. It doesn't matter if you treat like the overall treatment time is like 18 months. That's okay, or 12 or 20 months. That's okay. But the problem is we need to treat our patients with less appointments. This is the goal after pandemic, seeing the patients the minimum as possible, you know, like 4, 5, maximum 6 appointments for the entire treatment. This is the goal of the industry. This is the goal of dentistry. This is the goal from now on after the pandemic. Okay, so again, this is the same patient. This is stage 3. In my opinion, it's the most difficult one because it's not easy, like tiny details. And now in this stage here for finishing, I placed the 21 by 25 braided arch wire in the upper, and I kept the same 1925 the lower arch. So in here we have this triangle here with a heavy 1/8 elastic, just to provide intercuspation. So we saw here 3 different stages. Stage 1, 16 and 20 by 20 by force for leveling, aligning, torque expression, and rotation. Stage number 2 is the working stage for space closure, 1925 stainless steel, and those very, very interesting coils. And stage 3, 21 by 25 braided, and intercuspation, only 3 phases. Okay, so follow me, follow my line here. So this is July 18, the same day we debonded, the patient. See, take a look at this occlusion here. No, it's a perfect occlusion. And I'm very proud to announce that this patient was treated by one of my residents in Brazil. She has never seen a bracket before, so she was very well trained. So she reached those results here. So the same day we debonded the patient, we had this occlusion here. I think this is very, very hard to accomplish with aligners, especially the posterior segments with aligners. It's not easy, this kind of intercuspation. But anyway, so this is from here to here. Okay. So again, from here to here, 4 pairs of arch wires, few appointments. From here to here, no transpalatal bars, no lingual arch, no TADs, no nothing, just arch wires and brackets. Okay. So again, that's the patient before. So this is the same patient after torque expression, after the 20 by 20 by force. Take a look at the difference we have from here to here. Okay. And this is the patient after treatment. No, she was very shy, and now she's a lovely patient. So from here, step by step to here. And this is after the placing the first arch wire. This is after 20 by 20 by force, and this is today. Okay, from here to here, beautiful smile. From here, and you know, Dr. Ari, I like to take pictures of my patients, of course, but sometimes they post pictures like Instagram, Facebook, and this is the real patient, right? So I'm very happy to provide this kind of patient, this quality of treatment. So this is my point. Take a look at this. Take a look at this, is kind of important. So this is a 16 centilloy. So it's very, very, so you have a lot of deflection here and there. So once you have the arch wire working for us, the arch wire is drifting backwards. So the canines are placed in position. I don't need a listomeric chain to bring back the canines. Just the upper and lower lips are doing this for me because, you know, I have more friction here and low friction there. So the arch wires are drifting backwards little by little. And now that I place it 20 by 20 by force, I live 20 by 20 by force working for 4-5 months. It's not like this. It's not going to happen the next day, but 4 to 5 months, you know, I'm going to have something like this. So once I have torque expression here, I have this situation. So after 20 by 20 by force, all I have to do is like burning anchorage. All I have to do from now on is like bringing the molars to mesial like this. So stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. From here to here, no transpalatal bars, no lingual arch, no TEDs, but this is the main actor for me. No, in stage 1, 20 by 20 by force is very important. So 85% of the treatment is here, okay? Okay, let me talk a little bit about this. I know it's boring, you know, probably it's a beautiful Sunday in Malaysia, in Cambodia, Indonesia, it's a beautiful day probably, but let me talk a little bit about this boring topic here, engineering. Okay, this is my expertise. I design brackets and wires, okay? So I designed some brackets and wires. This is, I designed in Brazil from Morelli. This one I happened to design here from Dentsply, GC, and this is the new one. And I also have this patent here for molar tubes. So this is my expertise. But take a look at this. A quick look at rotational control. Okay, if I have this problem here, I need to derotate this molar. I can place like a 16 wire here. Okay, but the problem is, by placing the 16 arch wire here, I'm not going to solve the problem in 100%. You know why? You know, because I have a play here, right? So if I have a play, I can calculate this play, and believe me, it's a huge play. So I need something else to derotate the molars. Look, this is the bioforce technology. Bioforce technology came to orthodontics in 1992. So there's nothing new in bioforce. But bioforce is pretty interesting. You know why? Because bioforce delivers like 80 grams of force from here to here, like 180 grams here, and 280 to 320 grams of force for the molars. So we have differential resiliences. But you know why? When I started working with this arch wire in 1993, I placed this arch wire on conventional brackets, you know, nothing happened. Nothing happened. But when I started using this bracket here, I thought to myself, oh, maybe this is a very nice combination. I'll show you why. So this is the original innovation brackets. And this is the CCO brackets. Besides the prescription, because, you know, innovation brackets were like Roth prescription. And I have a lot of reasons to explain that Roth prescription is not the best one for interactive brackets. And besides the different prescription, we decided to change this wall here. I show you why. Instead of 16, this gingival wall has 19. Because by changing, I have the 20 by 20 placed in the 19 slot. So I have absolute torque control, 100%. See? And I can try all of the brackets. So this is a calculation that I did at that time. And I calculated exactly. When I place a 20 by 20 arch wire in this CCO bracket, I know by finite elements and I know by calculation that we have exactly this amount of force. So 49.35 grams of force. So it's very, very gentle, you know. But take a look at this. Follow me. Let me show you another case. So take a look at this case here. Okay, this case is pretty easy to do with aligners, right? Oh, yeah, I can treat this patient with aligners because it's a class 1 patient. You know, I see this deep bite here, but it's not that much. But the problem is this canine here. Can you understand that the canine here has a tip? The root here of the canine is mesially tipped. So when I place the arch wire, you can see how deflected is the arch wire. You know, by placing 20 by 20 bioforce here, little by little, we are having this. See? Now we have the 20 by 20 bioforce. And of course, here is 1925 stainless steel. But this is my point, you know. It's not easy treating this case here. Looks like very simple, but it is not. Because I have this situation here. And from here to here with aligners, it's not that easy. No, it's not that easy. But okay, let me go to another point here. This is the point. Now let me talk about 3D printed brackets. So this is my expertise. I know about brackets. I know the key factors for brackets and wires. Okay, and now I'm searching for those key factors for aligners. And I was talking to Dr. Fidaus before the presentation that I found a way to bring to aligners the same benefits that we have for Bioforce. I know nowadays how to produce an aligner, and I have it more flexible here and more rigid there. No, I know how to do this right now. I'm working in this pattern, and we'll be in the market like this. And I think you're gonna have some improvements in the biomechanics with aligners. But forget about this. Let me focus on brackets now. So this is Ron Roth. I worked with Ron Roth for 12 years, you know, Ron Roth. And we created CCO prescription because Roth prescription is good for conventional brackets, not for interactive. But take a look. This is my question. I showed this case here from here to here. Okay. Okay. So could the case be treated by any other prescription or any other bracket? Yes or no? Of course, yes. Any kind of bracket, depending on the arch-wire combination, we can treat the patient. Brackets are not magic, you know. Could the case be treated by any other prescription? Yes, but you know, I'm getting older because I need a prescription that I need a consistent prescription because I need to the same as I did in this case. I need to do in other cases, repeatable. I need the faster biomechanics. I needed like stable results, and of course, I needed like profitable. If I pay in a set of brackets like $3,000 in a bracket, for instance, like Incognito, it's a very, very nice system for lingo, but it's very expensive. So it's not profitable. But anyway, take a look at this. No, industry asked me about this. So let's suppose that I have a prescription here. I have a I have a 9-degree lingo torque for this crown here. And another prescription is 7. So 9 and 7, the average is 8. What's the difference between those, you know? I did the calculation for all of the brackets. So the answer is pretty simple. It's pretty simple. For instance, listen to me. Let me tell you the truth, right? And you know about the truth. Let's suppose that I have a lower incisor. What's the difference, clinically speaking, when you have like 0 or -1? Clinically speaking, nothing. Clinically speaking is nothing. From 0 to -1 is nothing. So I'm tired of going to conventions, big and beautiful conventions. They spent millions of dollars on those conventions, and they're talking about, okay, my prescription is better than yours because mine is -7, and yours is -8. Man, this is crazy. There's no room for this anymore. Okay, so 1 degree of torque change means nothing. Nothing. It's 0.05 millimeters from here to here or there. So it's nothing. So now we have a different option. Okay. As I told you, take a look at this concept. I don't know if Dr. Firdaus is familiar with this. So, but I remember in 1984 we didn't have implants. Okay. So I learned it in the dental school. And undergraduate, I remember to do this, and that for one element here. It's crazy because nowadays we have implants. But I think my good friend Dr. Costa from Massachusetts is taking a look at this, and also my good friend Dr. Romero from Brazil is watching this. Take a look at the concept. Take a look at this. This is really, really interesting. This is a system that is commercialized here by Henry Schein. First Fit. First Fit is a very, very interesting brand. First Fit, take a look at this. What is this about? Let's suppose that you have a patient, Dr. Costa, that you cannot place an implant in the upper molar, first molar, for instance, for any problem, I don't know. But if you need to place a prosthesis, one element in this situation, now you can scan the patient, okay, and you can get the CBCT, and you send the records to this company, First Fit, and they provide a guide. No, so they provide a special burr, and you buy this turbine here with this disc, and take a look. They provide a guide for you. So now you can do the preparation, like minimally invasive, and you can like have a guided preparation, 100% guided. See like this? And after that, you have the patient, okay, like this, and they print. It's not a milling process, it's a printed process. They are printed ceramic, and you place like a minimally invasive system, and now you have the crown. So this is a very interesting concept, and the same concept we are bringing to orthodontics. Take a look at this, okay? We have from 1907 to 1970 non-programming like edgewise brackets, right? From 1971 to 2018, we have the straight wire brackets, conventional and self-ligated, but straight wires, the pre-programmed bracket era. And now we have the patient-specific bracket, the patient 100% customized brackets, printed brackets. In other words, the patient is the prescription. We don't care anymore about MBT prescription, about Roth prescription, this prescription, that prescription. No, the patient is the prescription. Okay, let me show you. Let me show you. So I just started this company, and I'm doing some research for them. And I'm the R&D department and also the educational department. So wait, what is this about? Simple, like a liner. So you scan, okay? You go to the treatment plan, and after that, the company fabricates the brackets for you, 100% customized. Take a look at this. So traditional. Now we cannot follow this process anymore. You know, like one size fits all approaches. The past, you know, we have like inconsistent bone strength, no accommodation for irregular morphology, no deep bite rotations are relevant issues, right? We don't have those issues anymore. I show you, because we can place the crowns. I show you some videos, and after doing my setup, okay, after doing my setup, we can create the bracket 100% customized. So maintains the prescription accuracy, is ideal fit for improving retention and for bone strength. Accommodates to irregular tooth morphology. It doesn't matter if you have like a conoid lateral or a missing lateral, you need to transform the lateral on the canine. So no issues anymore. Okay, deep bite is not an issue. Rotation is not relevant anymore. So take a look at this video here. This is one of my patients. So this patient, we have missing laterals, as you can see. So I did the setup for him. This is what I did. So this is what I want for the patient, okay? So can you see here, I think the numbers are very, not that so small, but you can see that the crown, the torque, and the in-out are different from this one to that one. So here I have the situation, because it'll have a canine, this canine is going to be reshaped into a lateral, but the root is a canine root. So I have the bracket here for this crown, but for placing that root as a lateral, because you know why? This setup here was oriented by CBCT. So this is the goal. I'm going to show you some more cases. So we printed the brackets for the patient, and we have the IPR suggestion for the entire case. See, this is pretty interesting, because you know, we started the setup with the tomos if necessary. See, and again, I can simulate and can show the patients like in a like for the aligners, you know. And the most important thing is the prescription is customized for this patient. It's not Roth prescription. It's not MBT prescription. It's not straight wire appliance. It's a 100 fully customized appliance, you know. And the company prints the brackets in ceramic. So let me show you this case. It's a very, very simple case. Okay, it's a dental malocclusion, a patient from Brazil. Of course, this patient could be treated by any bracket. This patient could be treated by aligners, of course, but this is just to prove the concept. Take a look. So this is an initial malocclusion, and this is what we had, okay? So this is what I programmed for her. So from here, okay, to here. So now you can see that we have a prescription for the upper and of course for the lower arches. See here. Okay, of course, I'm sorry. So you're gonna see here that I have different torques, and different in-outs for all of the crowns. So we don't have one prescription for all of the patients anymore. So this is the new concept. You see? Let me show you the case. Again, from here to here, and we have the simulation, the IPR. Okay, this is the IPR that I need for this case, and the brackets were printed for this patient. Okay, same here. Okay, we printed the brackets in ceramic. See? Okay. Anyway, of course, in this type of technology, indirect bonding is mandatory because the bracket is made for this crown here for being placed in this point here. So indirect bonding is mandatory. So indirect bonding, and you can see that the system is pretty predictable. This is a 16 cent alloy. Okay, this first arch wire, pretty predictable. 16 cent alloy, first arch wire. You can see that the system is really, really predictable, as I showed. See? Again. So, same 16 cent alloy. Okay. Just leave the arch wire right there. Same 16 arch wire for 3 months. Same arch wire, which means that in theory we don't need to see the patient in a monthly base. No, we can see the patient like every 8 weeks. See? Now we have the 1622. There's something else here. Listen, the bracket is printable. So these brackets here in the incisors are 1825. And here we have like 2228. Like it's a kind of a bidimensional technique, you know? So this is 1622. Okay. And see the results we already have. See? 2 pairs of arch wires. Okay. And now we have 1825 upper and the same 1622 in the lower. See the results? 3D printed brackets, 100% customized. The patient is the prescription. Okay. Same situation, same arch wires, 3 pairs of arch. Oh, sorry. 3 pairs of arch wires got this result here. See? 3 pairs of arch wires. Okay, it's a very simple case. We have some issues here, but I need to prove you the concept. You know, this is the concept now. We can print the brackets. Forget about prescriptions. You know, one size fits all. Forget about this. From now on, we can have printed brackets. I wonder that within 2 years, we're going to have this in Asia as well. I'm pretty sure. And probably Dr. Firdaus and Dr. Kati will be, and Dr. Adi will be the first ones to do it. And we will be together in this journey from now on. So this is the result that we got for 3 pairs of arch wires. Pretty amazing. Excellent occlusion. You see, from here to here, 3 pairs of arch wires. In theory, we could have like 4 or 5 appointments, no more than that. And everything is guided. You as an orthodontist, you don't need to place the brackets. Someone else can do it for you. Before and after. You see? Before and after. Okay. So, and very interesting because we didn't have no flaring of the incisors. Torque control, because, you know, it's a 100% customized. And this is the final result. Amazing, amazing. So again, this is a journey. We are just starting the journey. Okay, the system is not perfect yet. So from here to here, you see this little window here on class 2. I don't like this because, you know, I'm an orthodontist. I need details. But take a look at this. The problem was not the system. I needed to close this window here, but the problem is my setup was not correct. You see, in white here, you have my setup. That was my mistake, not the system's mistake. You see? So let me, yeah, this is the point. Okay, so pros and cons. Okay, good. The system is customized. Forget about prescriptions. It can be CBCT oriented, depending on the case. This case here is very simple. I didn't need a CBCT for this case. Okay, indirect bonding is very, very interesting. It's about precision. Indirect bonding is not about saving time for placing the brackets. No, but if you have a proper position of the brackets, a proper placement, because the brackets fully customized, you're gonna have amazing results. You know, the bonding is pretty simple. This is a ceramic bracket. You know, it's printed in polycrystalline alumina ceramic. So the bonding can be an issue, but you have a driven fracture line. It's very, very easy to debond. No, you can you understand that it doesn't matter if you have a deep bite. You can place the brackets like gingivally, and you have the same torque expression and rotational expression because the bracket's fully customized. Simple like that, right? It has a very high-tech appeal, which is good for selling for the patient. In the other hand, the brackets are not self-ligated. The brackets are not translucent. They're not beautiful yet. But this, from 2 months ago, we started some cases with very, very clear brackets. They are going to be very translucent from now on. You know, of course, we need to involve second molars, right? So, do we have time for one more case? I think so. I think so, right, Adi? Let me show you another case. This is the last one. Take a look at this case here. Okay, can you see the incisor here? So that was the problem with the patient. So this is the patient. The mom came to the office very, like crying because nobody wanted to take a look. No orthodontist would like to treat this patient. Why? Because we have this situation. See, in 2D here, we have a very complicated situation. So this is the tomo here, tells by itself, right? So that's the situation. Okay, we started like old-fashioned way, very, very simple appliance, very, very light force here, like 50 to 65 grams of force for extrusion, very, very lightly, see? Very, very lightly. So now we have a light in the end of the tunnel, okay? The incisor is here, so let's keep the traction, little by little, see? Long time. Now we place the brackets. This is Morelli brackets made in Brazil that I designed it. The clip is a night-eye clip. I don't know if you have this in Asia. So very, very, very light, very, very light, very careful, okay? Because you saw the situation, okay? So we had this result here, okay? Just little by little, okay? Things are going very well now, very well. Class 2 elastics here. And we decided to take off the bracket and finish with aligners. I'm going to show you, okay? So we debonded the patient in this situation here. And I started this here, okay? That's the situation we had. So pretty interesting. We have the bone is here, the cortical bone is absolutely perfect. We have this small window right there. So we decided to treat this patient under aligners. And this is the system that I use. I think I showed Dr. Firdaus last time. This is the Sure Smile system. So I programmed very, very simple movements here, as you can see, okay? This is the setup that I did, see? Very simple. And I think this is the good part of it. So take a look at this. So I can do this, and I can do my setup. Okay, and can you see this window here? Export STL. Once I have everything done, I can export STL files to my computer. So by exporting STL files to my computer, I can print the models, and of course I can print the aligners. No, I can't vacuum form the aligners. This is a do-it-yourself system that I use. And it costs me like $45, nothing more. So we started from here, okay? And this is the result we got after the brackets, okay? And we started in June 2019. This is July, this is August, little by little, September. I remember, I think we used like six or maybe 7 pairs of aligners, I don't remember now. So September, from June to September, look, we extruded this incisor and we reached the class 1 in the canines, both sides, here and there. Aligners in position here, retainers. And this is the final result. So this is a case that we started with brackets and then finished by aligners. This is a new concept. This is something that I want to do for all of my patients from now on, starting by brackets and finishing with aligners. Okay, so again, I'm so sorry if I'm being boring for you on the beautiful morning Sunday, but I'm very, very blessed to being able, God is so good for me because I'm able to connect very, very nice people like we did in Malaysia, and Dr. Ari, Dr. Firdaus, Dr. Kathy, Dr. Anand Maria are close friends. And I just can't wait to go back to Malaysia or even bringing you guys to here. Now, I was talking to Dr. Firdaus, but this is for the next year. Forget about this year, right? For the next year, we're going to have something in New York or maybe in Orlando. And this is it. So I'm so blessed for knowing you guys. This is in Malek, in Malaysia. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Beautiful place. I would live there. No, this is my email. This is my WhatsApp number, and you can scan here and you go straight to my website. Okay. And let me start. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Celestino.
So, this is it, my friend. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Just can't wait to see you in person, guys. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much. But for those who has some question, please don't hesitate to ask question to Dr. Celestino Nobrega. Maybe we will give you about 10 to 15 minutes for question.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Nobrega?
Okay, perfect. Let's do it.
All right. I have one question here through my WhatsApp. All right. About your first case that you showed us before, you extracted the second premolar. Why did you extract second premolar?
That's a very good question. Thank you for the question. So in most of my cases now, when I have a lot of crowding, I prefer to extract second premolars. Why? Because by the working phase is easier for me, like bringing molars forward instead of bringing second premolars, first molars, and second molars. So from now on, I have a huge anchorage in the front. I have from first premolar to first premolar, and I have only 2 molars each side to bring it forward. It's easier, because I have like 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters to close, nothing else. And I have some cases that I'm sorry, I don't have it here right now, but some cases I use to extract second premolars in the upper arch wire too. It's good for the patient. They don't complain about having spacing here. And it's easier for me from the biomechanical point of view. It's easier to burn anchorage and you have less roots to bring forward. That's the reason. That's why I extract second premolars instead of first premolars. Thank you for the question. Okay, another question here from Fernando. Is Fernando from Brazil, maybe? Yes or not? I think so. Fernando maybe from Brazil or Portugal. So, could you talk more about the material? Okay, the material used for printing. It's a ceramic. It's polycrystalline aluminum. So, again, the material is printed. So the other question is that feasible to print this bracket in office? Right now, no, because the printers are very, very expensive. It's like almost $1 million, one printer like that. No, Dr. Fidaus has a lot of printers. No, maybe he's the next one to have a ceramic printing machine in the office, right? But the point is, nowadays the brackets are printed here in Boston, United States. But I wonder that maybe in the future, we can have like, okay, I have a hologram here, a 3D hologram. I can do my setup here in front of me, and I can print the brackets in my office. This is going to happen for sure. So that's about the material. So again here, Dr. Fernando from Bolivia. Thank you very much, Dr. Fernando. So another case here from Anita. Is the CBCT mandatory? No, it's not mandatory, Dr. Fidaus. Just for like maybe for missing laterals, for surgical cases, for impacted canines, but for regular cases, just all you need is a scanning, and we need, of course, a Ceph and pen and intraoral and extraoral records. Nothing else is necessary. We have another question here. When you finish your case with the aligners, do you charge extra for the patient, or do you put in the cost right from the start? That's a good question as well. So here in the United States, it's quite different from Brazil and from Asia, right? Because here in the United States, man, money. Swipe the card, You swipe the card, you charge the patient like $7,000. So it doesn't matter if you go into brackets or aligners. He swiped the card and then nothing else. But I would say that the best situation for me in Brazil is explaining the patient in the beginning. For instance, let's suppose that a patient comes to me and they come to the office asking for aligners, right? So I talk to the patient, Dr. Maria, I talk to the patient. Okay, we can treat you by aligners. You're gonna take like 85 pairs of aligners, and it take like 2.5 years to treat you under aligners. But if you give me a chance, I can treat you with brackets for 4-6 months, and after that, I can finish your case in 6 more months. If you give me the chance, I will start with aligners, with brackets. So this is the best situation. You can charge maybe a little more. But, remember that if you do it yourself, the aligners, man, the cost is like very low. For instance, in that case, I use it like, I can have like 7 pairs of aligners. It costs me in Brazil maybe $10 per aligner. So I have the cost like $200 extra by the brackets. So this is too much better than sending to Invisalign and you charge you like $1,000, right? So that's the situation. It's a new situation, a hybrid situation. I love it. I love it. And I know Dr. Fidaus is doing this too. I think this is a kind of lot. Take a look at this. Let's suppose that I have a premolar to derotate, right? So for derotation, if you do your setup in aligners, like 1 degree by 1 degree by 1 degree, imagine that you have 20 degrees of rotation. 20 degrees is nothing for a bracket and wire. You do like this. But for aligners, if you do like 2 degrees per aligner, you have like 10 aligners for derotate 1 premolar. This is crazy. No, we need to wake up. We need to wake up. I think this is the best situation, depending on the case. And I know that you guys have a lot of crowding situations. Let me be honest, Here in the United States, sometimes you have a crowding like this, like nothing. This is the case for aligners, of course, but not in Brazil, not in Cambodia, not in Malaysia, right? In Indonesia, it's different, man. It's not like, wow, sometimes I see presentations like they show like, oh, this case here, we need 3 millimeters of space. Wow. So we're going to have like 20 pairs of aligners and you're going to solve it. Man, this is a different situation. So anyway, so I have other questions here. May I keep going, Dr. Adi? I have other questions here.
Yes, sir. You still have a lot of time.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next question is, could it be printed in lithium disilicate? I really don't know, Luane Menezes. I really don't know. I need to research about this. I really don't know. Is the 3D printed bracket applicable in Indonesia? Not yet. Not yet. How to have access? I believe that within 2 years, maybe, right? I think so. Without CBCT, would it not be difficult to decide the torque of the printed brackets? I think so. You know, but this is the point, Dr. Maria. The setup needs to be done by orthodontists, not by technicians. But by being an orthodontist, like in a case like this, very simple. And there's something else, Dr. Maria, depending on the situation, okay? Because if you scan the patient, it's very important to scan the soft tissue, the gums. The gingiva is very important too. So you have like a palpation, you know, you have you can imagine the roots. So the majority of the cases, and I'm starting with very simple cases in this technology, because you know why? Because you need to improve the technology. It's not ready. That's why we need you. You know, we need to listen from you, because we need to develop the technology. It's not ready, right? So I remember the first brackets we had were brackets. They were not sinterized. You know, so this is about technology. It needs to be improved little by little. So other question here. No, Dr. Luana is in Brazil. Oh, thank you. We still don't have that technology in Brazil, but yeah, it's coming soon, probably. Dr. Anita Hussein, I do believe that hybrid is the way. Yeah. In finishing stages, it's pretty. I agree 100%. This question is very Dr. Tommy Darmaji. The 3D brackets in a low friction bracket. Yeah, look at this. That was a good surprise for me. No, because I designed the Innovation C brackets. I don't know if you're familiar with those brackets, but I remember that at that time, and then now I did the same. I have a methodology for testing friction. These brackets that we are printing in 3D, they show less friction than a metallic bracket, because they are printed and the surface is amazing. It's not pixelized. So the ceramic brackets that we have now, printed ceramic brackets, they show less friction than a metallic bracket. So that's a good surprise for us, right? Because we are used to correlate ceramic bracket and high friction, but this bracket is low friction. What's the program application to use to make aligners, Dr. Elsa Christina, and to make digital bricks? These are different softwares. For the aligners, I use the SureSmile platform, but no, you have other open SureSmile. I paid $500 to get the license for SureSmile, and I pay $45 per patient to have the segmentation. I think it's pretty cheap. But you have open platforms like Blue Sky. You can have other platforms. But the platform for ceramic brackets is a platform from Lightforce. It was developed because, we have in the company, we have guys from MIT, from Harvard. So we got the very, very brilliant guys in engineering. And I'm not that brilliant, but I am the team as well. But are different softwares. The software for printing brackets are a software from Lightforce, So I think we have no more questions, and we have no more time. Now we need to listen to Dr. Kathy and Dr. Firdaus. And again, thank you very much. I just can't wait to meet you guys in person. And of course, I stay here for the next presentation. So thank you very much, guys.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Celestino Nobrega. It was a very good presentation, and I think it's already late, very night in New York. So maybe it's time for you to go back. So in the morning, can wake up early and get fresh again. So, okay, thank you again, Dr. Celestino Nobrega. Hopefully we can see in person, maybe tomorrow. All right, now our next webinar will be about surgery versus non-surgery treatments from Dr. Katirawan Purmal and Dr. Firdaus Hanapia. The first speaker will be Dr. Katirawan Purmal, and I'm going to share you the CV of Dr. Katirawan Purmal. Dr. Katirawan Purmal is living in Malaysia, and as well as Dr. Firdaus Hanapia. And Dr. Katirawan Purmal has a double specialty. He's a specialist orthodontist and also oral and maxillofacial surgeon. He got his BDS in Malaya from Malaya and DGDP from UK, MFD RCS from London, MOrt from Malaya, and MOrt RCS from Edinburgh, FRACD from Australia, and Master of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery from USM. While Dr. Firdaus Hanapia, he's an oral and maxillofacial surgeon. He runs his own clinic in Shah Alam, Malaysia, and he graduated from Otago, and he got MSc from London, FDSRCS from England, FICOI, and also AM. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Katirawan Purmal and also Dr. Firdaus Hanapia. Hello, Dr. Kati. How are you? You look very handsome for today.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Okay, we are going to start your presentation, so you can share your screen.
Okay, let me see how. Can you hear me? Voice okay?
Okay, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, right. So this is the presentation.
All right.
Okay, good morning. Hello?
Morning, Dr. Kati. We can hear you clearly.
I can hear you. I can continue. Huh? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Hari, for the wonderful invitation. This is my first time presenting webinar, so please bear with me. Mainly, I'll be speaking about orthodontic camouflage. Well, I'm fortunate to have Dr. Firdaus, my partner in crime, to talk about orthodontic surgery. So we shall go. But before we start, I would like to wish all the mothers happy Mother's Day, because it's a wonderful Sunday, and without mothers, none of us will be around here. Okay. Okay, it's on then. I'm having slight problem with the slide. Okay. Okay, now it's moving, right. So I would encourage everybody to have a look at this paper. This paper gives a good overview of how do we assess patients for orthodontic surgery. Many of my students and doctors ask me how they decide whether this patient is suitable for surgery or suitable just for orthodontics. No doubt, patients don't really like surgery. If at all they want to avoid surgery. But as doctors, we have to inform the patient whether surgery, non-surgical treatment is possible or not. And if it's possible, what are the adverse effects that will come about with this non-surgical procedure. Hopefully, the presentation today will cover that part. What happens if you try to camouflage, and what is the outcome if the patient is able to convince you to do non-surgery. In today's treatment time, it has to be a mutual understanding. It's not only the patient's physical appearance is important, their emotional well-being, whether they can understand what is proposed and whether they agree to the treatment is very important. So it's like a partnership between the dentist and also the patient for the optimal outcome. Okay, what is camouflage? I think everybody has heard of this term. It's like these pictures, is hiding what is obvious. So what are we hiding? We are hiding the skeletal disproportion of the patient, the skeletal malocclusion, so that patient appear more normal to the public. So their discrepancy, the skeletal discrepancy is not so obvious. It actually comes from a French word, camouflage, meaning to hide what's obvious. In orthodontics, camouflaging is not something new. It started way back in 1930s when extraction was gaining more popularities. You look at the history of orthodontics, initially everything was started non-extraction. Then after that, people started to do extraction more and more. So extraction was in the swing. Now the trend is becoming back to non-extraction because patients don't like to remove teeth in order to relieve crowding. As we can move the teeth distally and have other ways of gaining space, so the trend of extraction is becoming less and less for crowding. But then for facial aesthetics, the extraction is still utilized, especially patients, our Asian patients who have very bimaxillary protrusion. In that case, extraction is still a choice. So camouflage also implies that repositioning the teeth will have a favorable or at least should not have a detrimental effect on the facial aesthetic and future function of the teeth. For example, this picture shows our nature camouflages for us. Like in class 2 cases, the teeth is tipped back and the lower incisors are tipped forward to camouflage the skeletal discrepancy. And it's opposite in the class 3 case, where the upper incisors are tipped forward and the lower incisors are tipped back to camouflage. So to see the real skeletal discrepancy, we have to reposition the teeth in the original place or the original inclination where it's supposed to be. This repositioning with digital technology, we can do it in the software. And once you reposition the inclination of the teeth in the normal position, then you can appreciate the skeletal discrepancy. Then you will know how much discrepancy is there. But just seeing clinically, it will be masked by the soft tissue, by the patient's expression, by even how they carry themselves, how they position the head. Can't really tell. That's why cephalometrics is really important in orthodontics, especially a patient who are not sure whether they just need orthodontics or surgery. Okay, this is not something new. This is a thought for all orthodontic trainees. It's called envelope of discrepancy, started in 1980s by Dr. Profit and Ackerman. Although this envelope has slightly changed because of the introduction of tats. In 1980s, people are using headgear, no tats, but still the basic principle applies. So what this envelope really shows is the amount you can, tooth movement that you can do to camouflage the skeletal discrepancy. You see the small green envelope here, the small green envelope here, and the small green envelope here. This is in the upper arch, this is in the lower arch. So this 7 degrees shows the amount of distalization of the upper incisor in orthodontics alone using braces, is the green circle, is only 7 millimeters. So imagine this, the patient has more than 7 millimeters, you are pushing the boundaries of orthodontics already. The biggest circle is for growing patient using functional appliance. With functional appliance, even if the patient has 12 millimeters of movement that needs to be done, it is still possible. But in orthodontics, the upper incisor can be moved back 7 degrees, it can be moved forward 2 degrees, and it can be moved up, intruded only about 4 millimeters, and extruded about 2 millimeters for stability. Anything more than that, you are really pushing the boundaries. Because as you know, the dental alveolar skeleton, the teeth is enveloped in the dental alveolar and the gums. So if it's going above this, then we have to reconsider our strategies. For non-growing adults, the only option is the big red envelope. This is the big red envelope. which shows the amount of movement that can be accomplished with surgery and orthodontics. Even as far as 15 millimeters of movement distally, it is possible with surgery, and impaction or moving the teeth up about 10 millimeters or moving the teeth down 15 millimeters. Even in the lower arch, especially in class 3 cases, with surgery, 25 millimeters of movement can be moved backwards. But see here, the amount of movement that is possible with orthodontics only. It's only 3 millimeters. Because if you move more than that, the teeth will be severely retroclined, and there is a possibility of root dehiscence. With functional appliance, you can move retrocline a bit more, but the maxilla has more leeway compared to the mandible because the dental alveolar housing is more malleable, more softer, more resorption happens when you have more space for dental alveolar remodeling in the maxilla compared to the mandible. So whatever was said in 1984 is still relevant today. Okay, next, when we talk about camouflage, we can't ignore what a great guru of orthodontics by the name of Cecil Steiner mentioned. He has his own cephalometric analysis, and he has mapped out how the teeth need to be angulated or inclined so that the skeletal discrepancy can be camouflaged. It is called Steiner's sticks. So if you see, let's understand what he says. If the patient has A and B2, A and B is the difference between SNA and SNB. 2 means the patient has a class 1 skeletal pattern. So the patient has class 1 skeletal pattern. The inclination of the upper incisor needs to be 22 degrees. This inclination is the line drawn on the upper incisor right to the the Frankfurt horizontal plane. So this degree needs to be 22 degrees. And the lower incisor needs to be 25 degrees. The line is drawn along the long axis of the lower incisor to the mandibular plane. So only that it can, if only the teeth is inclined in this way, the teeth can have a pleasing appearance. This 4 is the distance between the upper incisor to the line that is known from the nasion to the A, and A, the position of the line, the position of the teeth. This measurement is the 4. So he has mapped out to camouflage. This is the inclination of the upper and lower incisor and the distance of the upper and lower incisor to the NA plane and the NB plane. So if you see this pattern, the teeth is gradually becoming less and less proclined and more upright in the upper arch as the skeletal discrepancy increases. So there is only a certain limit of how this inclination can happen. See, after about 6 degrees of A and B, this is the class 2 skeletal pattern, 6 degrees. The teeth is already going to -1, -2. This is like almost upright and maybe even retroclining the teeth. So if that happens, it's not aesthetic anymore. And if the alveolar bone surrounding the root of the upper incisor very thin, especially now we have CBCT, we can show this actually happens. The root actually comes out of the alveolar bone. And if we torque the incisors even more, it is a risk of coming out to the bone. Okay. So my limit will be for the A and B will be about 6. For class 3, it will be about -1 to -2. This is more of anecdotal clinical experience, not really proven in any studies, but some things people don't want to push the limit to see. But I will show you some cases how if you push the limit, what happens. Okay, again, to show what happens with the camouflage, patient with A and B of 2 showing that he has a class 1 skeletal pattern. The incisors are proclined in this way, 22 degrees, 25 degrees. But as the A and B gets -2, this is a class 3 skeletal pattern. You see the incisors are more proclined, the upper incisors, and the lower incisors are more retroclined. As the A and B gets to 6 degree class 2 skeletal pattern, the incisors are almost upright, 18 degrees, but the lower incisors are more proclined. This goes to instability stage also. This type of proclination might not even be stable because we are not doing anything to control the muscular forces. Muscular forces meaning the lips, the tongue, the cheeks, all those forces are still present. So there is a higher chance of relapse if we are camouflaging patients who have greater degree of skeletal discrepancy. Okay. For mild to moderate skeletal pattern, especially class 2 problem, we can still camouflage. Displacement of the teeth relative to the bony bases to achieve good occlusion is compatible with reasonable facial aesthetic, and camouflage is successful. Okay, like this case, patient had A and B of 4.2 for width analysis. Width analysis is another analysis to show the degree of a discrepancy in the sagittal. Sagittal means anterior posterior, because A and B, SNA, SNB suffers with inadequacy when there is compounding vertical problems. As width appraisal is by great professor Dr. Johnson from South Africa. So he found out that this analysis avoids that problems in the SNA, SNB. So commonly in the orthodontic circle, we use both width and A and B to check the discrepancy of the maxilla and mandible. How does it relate to? So in this case, A and B is 4.2. So width is 4. So this clearly is a class 2. We'll talk a little bit on how they measure width, because I'm sure some of the doctors are not that familiar with width appraisal. So in this case, we thought we can camouflage this situation. Another point that I need to highlight is very imperative to get good lateral ceph x-rays, but you should not just stop by getting a good lateral ceph x-ray. You must trace it properly. If not, there is no use in getting a lateral ceph just for the sole purpose of taking a lateral ceph, because there is a vast of information that you can get from the lateral ceph, which is properly traced. And so many digital programs that you can use to trace the lateral ceph. The one that I'm using automatically traces it. That means after taking lateral ceph, it puts the points automatically and gives me all the reading. So I can have a different analysis, even any analysis I can request, and they can add into that software. Yeah, this is about width analysis. Width actually measures point from A point. You drop a line straight from A point and B point to the functional occlusal plane. Functional occlusal plane is where especially the posterior teeth meet, and the distance between this dot and this dot, between AO, A is here, O is occlusal plane, BOB is here, and this is the occlusal plane. The distance here is what is calculated. So normally it's about 0, that means both of the for females, and for males it's about -1, because there is a range of 1 to 2 millimeters. So within the range of 1 to 2 millimeters is considered a class 1. So if it's a class 3, that means the B will be more forward because of the mandible is forward, and A will be more distally. Class 2, A will be more forward and B will be more distally. So that's how we calculate the skeletal discrepancy. Okay, going back to the earlier case, this is how she presented. She had a skeletal discrepancy and also proclined upper incisor. So she also is growing, so remodeling is more possible with a growing child. So if you can see, we can get a reasonable, she's not finished yet. A lot of, during the MCO, as you know, people don't come. So this is currently a lot of brackets get seaborne, plaque and calculus everywhere. But we are getting there. It's not finished yet. And this is the current situation. So A and B and width still, but inclination of the upper incisor, if you can see, it is almost upright. Okay, so the lower incisors are proclined to camouflage this situation. So to camouflage this skeletal discrepancy and also the proclination of the upper incisor. Okay, going to next guy. This guy has some vertical maxillary excess, but is also class 2. You can see this incisor is more upright. He, compared to the earlier patient, has a proclined upper incisor. This incisor is more upright, and when the incisor is more upright and your maxilla is forward, then you're more careful, because it's easier to tip the incisors to camouflage the situation than to move the teeth bodily to camouflage the protrusive maxilla. And there is a higher chance of getting a more gummy smile if the maxilla is more forward. Okay, from the cephalometric analysis, we can see that his A and B is 4, so his MALDI is class 2. So we can still camouflage, and after moving the teeth, the inclination of the teeth has improved, and we can also do some intrusion to improve on the incisal show. So this patient had okay, this is some of the mechanics that was used for this patient. He used TATs to distalize and also to intrude. This is the intrusion arch, bypasses some of the premolars to intrude the upper incisors. Need to intrude, because if we just distalize, there will be a risk of gummy smile. Even initially, he has a lot of incisal show. Okay, so the oral hygiene was really bad, and he was hospitalized. So this is the consequence of not taking care. So even though it is not perfect, but I had to debond to prevent further damage to his incisor. But he was happy with this intrusion, incisor control, and the amount of overjet reduction. Okay. Another case, she also has a class 2 skeletal pattern. You can see the retrusive chin here with protrusive lips. Okay. So this was the incisors, the intraoral pictures. So in this case, if you see, at this stage, the incisors already retrocline so much that it is tipped lingually. This is called negative talk. So we had to upright and accept a certain amount of overjet, because to have incisors retrocline inwards is not aesthetic also. And also it has a risk of dehiscence of the alveolar bone here. So we have to upright because of the distance between the maxilla and mandible. But she didn't want to have surgery. So she has to live with a retrusive chin. So this is the skeletal discrepancy is 6.3. This is actually the limit already for camouflage treatment. And the 6.3 A and B, and the width is about 3.3. The upper incisors now, if you can see, it has retroclined so much. Any more retroclination or proclination of the incisor is not possible. So this is the end result. The lips is better, but you can still see the retrusive chin. Okay, this is the occlusion after the treatment. So when we discuss the treatment plan, we have to tell them we can change a little bit of the lip position, but not so much. She will still look class 2. Okay, because there is a limit on the amount of tooth movement that you can do with camouflage treatment. So this is before and this is after. So you can see the change in the lip position. there is some change, not there is no change. Okay, what about this case? Okay, she can't even close her teeth because her teeth is outside. Just looking clinically, she is class 2, but cephalometrics will quantify the amount of discrepancy. It will show you how much class 2 is she, whether we can camouflage or not. Okay. This is intraoral pictures, procline, forward incisor, retrocline mandible. Okay. This is the tracing. You can see A and B is 10, width is 7.4. This should ring bells saying this class 2 malocclusion may not amend to camouflage. Okay. So, but then the patient insists on camouflage. I show you what happened. Yeah, this is after the treatment. You see the incisors is already coming out of the root. I think all the labial bone has some dehiscence already. Incisors are so much retrocline. The lower incisors are so much procline. So this retroclination and the proclination, you can see from the incisor angulation. This is upper incisor angulation is 90.1. Ideal is about 111. So it is upright. Lower incisors 95.9, supposed to be 90 only. So lower incisors are procline and upper as retrocline to camouflage this situation. And also the bite has deepened because what has happened is the treatment mechanics that is used has been overpowered the torque that is inbuilt in the bracket. So we can do that. We can overpower and do it, but it has consequence of more damage than camouflaging and then. Okay. So this is after treatment. See how retrocline upper incisors are. They still can't close a mouth so well. So see how damaging orthodontic braces can be if you're just thinking about camouflage and getting the teeth to touch up and down. Yeah, because in the non-surgery, what happens is, even though you say you want bodily movement, but the mechanics that is used, like class 2 mechanics, class 1 mechanics with the coil spring, will retrocline the upper incisors. And this effect will deepen the bite. You try to intrude to reduce the deepening of the bite. There is a risk of devitalization, also pushing the roots out of the cortical bone. Whereas in surgery, what is done is the whole dental alveolar segment is moved together with the housing of the root. So this is pushed together. Okay. So in severe class 2 problems, it may be possible to obtain good occlusion, but only at the considerable expense of facial aesthetic. So is this what you want to do? The upper incisor must be displaced so distally to compensate for the mandibular scarcity. The aesthetic result is increased prominence of the nose and overall appearance of mid and lower face deficiency. So you make other parts more unaesthetic. So in a nutshell, indication for camouflage is when the patient is too old for growth modification. By growth modification, I'm saying using functional appliance. Patient has good alignment of the teeth, so extraction spaces would be available for controlled anteroposterior displacement and not used to relieve crowding. Good vertical proportion, either extreme short face, skeletal deep bite, nor long face, mild to moderate skeletal class 2, or mild skeletal class 2. In class 3 cases, this set even more difficult to camouflage, so we limit the camouflage of class 3 cases just to mild skeletal class 3, normal soft tissue, and no transverse skeletal problem. These are the indications for camouflage. What are the contraindications for camouflage? Also the opposite of what we said earlier. Severe class 2, moderate or severe class 3, patient with severe crowding or protrusion of incisors in whom the extraction space will be required to achieve proper alignment, patient with excellent remaining growth potential, transverse discrepancy or vertical discrepancy. Okay. Indication for surgery, severe class 2, severe class 3 skeletal discrepancy, deep overbite, severe anterior open bite, vertical extreme vertical excess, deficiency in the maxilla or mandible, severe dental alveolar problem, or skeletal asymmetry. Okay. Another case I'll show you. This patient has a clear class 3 skeletal discrepancy with a lot of crowding. How she came. And this is her intraoral photographs. Can see a skeletal class 3 problem. Okay, this is a tracing. From the tracing, she had an A and B of 0.9, width 6.7, negative 6.7. So considered mild to moderate class 3. They attempted to camouflage. After camouflaging, the upper incisors procline a little bit more, lower incisors retroclined more. So the lower incisors is now 80.5 degrees. By right, it should be about 90 degrees. Upper incisors have proclined to 110. Okay, by right, it should be about 100. So it's not too bad. Okay, so she's happy, she can smile. So in this case, type of cases, we can camouflage successfully. So intraoral, this is the occlusion. But if you see the intraoral, just want to highlight the lower incisors. Can you see how retroclined the lower incisors are? So this is just mild class 3. If it's a severe class 3, it will be even more retroclined. And this type of retroclination will have effect on the gingiva and the future problem of the health of the gingiva and the lower incisors. I see many using TATs to distalize the lower. Okay. No, some people have used TATs to distalize the lower and correct even moderate class 3 malocclusions. But you must understand those people have undergone a lot of training and a lot of trial and error. Just because someone can do it does not mean everybody can do it. Because there are certain things that is minute and you can only understand it if you have undergone that amount of training and have done a lot of cases under supervision. So what I'm showing you are not something that is out of ordinary or something that people, you know, it needs a super orthodontist to do. Any general dentist will be able to get this type of cases. These are more predictable and more time tested. Okay, some of the things that you should avoid. See, dehiscence of over retroclining the lower incisors. This is also an orthodontic case. See the long-term effect. So if you want to avoid all this, okay, you must know what you're doing and the limits of camouflage. That's what I want to insist. If there is one thing that you take back after this webinar is the limit of camouflage. Where you should not camouflage, in what situation, no matter how much the patient is in sitting. Our first rule of thumb is do no harm. So if we can't improve the situation, we at least should not do any harm. Okay, another case, clearly a class 3. Chin is so much forward. Okay, this is the discrepancy. The molar is a full unit class 3 with severe crowding in the upper arch, moderate crowding in the lower arch. So even his readings, A and B is 0.3, width is off the rocks, negative 9.5. Okay. So this case we did, as you see the plates and screw, we had no choice but to do surgical treatment. So with the surgical treatment, the face is more in harmony. The upper incisors are properly positioned. The lower incisors are also properly positioned. So clinically, this is how he looks. There's a vast of difference when you do a surgical treatment together with the orthodontics. So in occlusion, this is how the bite ends up with. Okay. Initially, I said about distalizing the whole segment. Okay. This is just a CBCT that I took before considering distalization. what I want to share with the CBCT, although in the crown level, you might see there is space. This is a wisdom teeth. This is second molar. This is first molar. So imagine if you're distalizing the whole segment, this second molar will hit on the cortical bone of the mandible. This only you can see with the CBCT. So when there is such a thick cortical bone, I don't think the lower arch can be distalized because there is a cortical bone here which will block the distalizing effect. This is a concept that you need to understand. So not all teeth can be distalized in the mandible because there is a limit on how you can distalize. Especially if you see the segments lower down, you can see the roots is almost to the cortical bone. Okay. So far, we have been talking about the skeletal discrepancy in the anterior posterior dimension. And now we will talk about the vertical dimension. So this patient has a vertical maxillary excess. Okay. How do you see a vertical maxillary excess is? If you draw a line from the nose to the lips, it should be 1/3. And when you draw a line from the from both the intersection of the lips to the chin, this part should be 2/3. So vertical maxillary excess means this part will be more than 1/3, and this part will be 2/3. So diagnosing an incisor display like this can have many causes. One of it is the vertical maxillary excess, which can be corrected by surgery, or it can be because of the short lips or proclined upper lips. So there is many causes of incisor display. Identify the cause so that we can do the treatment accordingly. Okay. This patient has a vertical problem and also class 3 skeletal pattern, incompetent lips. So intraorally, you can see she has almost open bite, canine to canine open bite, so she has some vertical problem. But this amount of open bite can be camouflaged, like this situation. Occlusion is not too bad. We managed to close open bite. And aesthetic is not too bad, although the chin is still recessive. Okay. So how do you know how much vertical that can be camouflaged? We rely on also going back to cephalometrics. I use something called ODI. It's called the overbite depth indicator. So with this overbite depth indicator, I can be sure whether that vertical problem, whether it's open bite or the deep bite, is skeletal in origin or dental avila. So how do we measure this ODI? ODI is measured by, this is popularized by Dr. Kim. If anybody is the popular orthodontist who did a lot of works in vertical dimension. He developed meow technique to improve the vertical relationship. But his cephalometric analysis shows clearly if the patient has an open bite, has a skeletal open bite or has a skeletal deep bite. So the degree, which degree we take into account is, we draw a line from A and B and drop it down to the mandibular plane. So the degree like this 4 is the degree between A and B to the mandibular plane. So this amount, number 4, is a figure that we have to keep in mind. Then we draw a line to the Frankfurt horizontal line to the maxillary plane. So this is the maxillary plane here. So this degree, the amount of degree between the Frankfurt horizontal line and the maxillary plane is calculated. So this number 3 here, this degree here, and this degree here is added together to give a figure for ODI. ODI is overbite depth indicator. Okay, let's see. So the normal value for O is about 75. Lower value than that indicates a skeletal open bite tendency, which is passing the threshold is about 65. So it's about 65, then it's a skeletal open bite. Skeletal open bite would require surgery, or higher tendency will indicate for skeletal deep bite. Anything higher than 83 degrees will be skeletal deep bite. So in between 75 to 65, 75 is all dental deep bite or dental open bite, which can be camouflaged. Yeah, like this is an example. So this degree here is 61, 61 plus 4.82. The degree here is a skeletal discrepancy. Okay, whereas this one, 75, is more for a dental open bite. So earlier one might not be able to camouflage. This one we might able to camouflage. Like this case, even clinically, it's obvious. She has a very big open bite. Only the molars are touching. Generally, from my experience, if the open bite is just limited to the incisors, the anteriors, if it's not more than 2 or 3 millimeters, we can camouflage. But this case, only the molars are touching with a significant crowding here. So most likely, patient walk in like this, don't think twice, it's a surgical case. What about this patient has a class 3 problem, but also a vertical problem. See, the chin is excessive. So this is how is intraorally he looks. For this patient, we can tell them we can camouflage the occlusion and get a crowding and sort it out. But its appearance, if you want to camouflage the long chin, can only be corrected by surgery. So this patient, this is how he ended up. The occlusion has been sorted out without surgery, but he was happy with the chin like this. So in this case, the excess is in the lower 1/3. The upper 1/3, but the lower 1/3 is excessive. So he would have a better appearance if he went for some genioplasty, reduction of the chin. Is occlusion. Okay, what about this guy? Okay, this guy also had a open bite, and also the chin looks a little bit longer than normal. But even though it's open bite, it's confined to the anterior, but he had problems. He had other problems like a crossbite and also skeletal anterior posterior sagittal skeletal discrepancy. So when more than one problems comes in together, that makes it even more difficult to camouflage. So we decided to go for surgery for him. He has a transverse discrepancy where the center line also is not coinciding. So cephalometric clearly shows he has the ANB of negative 0.7, width negative 8.4, which is a class 3 skeletal problem, open bite and proclined upper and lower incisors. So this is after pictures. You can see he has a procedure that just involved the mandible, because the proclination of the upper incisor can be corrected by orthodontics. So he just had to do surgery on the lower incisors. On the lower mandible. So this is how he ended up. The occlusion. Okay, another patient. This patient, sagittally, he looks okay, but he hardly shows any incisors. See his intraoral, he has a huge overjet, very deep overbite. From the cephalometrics, it was deemed he had a skeletal deep overbite. So this one, luckily he agreed for surgery. So we are in the midst of preparing him for the surgery. So from the ODI, it shows he has a skeletal deep bite. So we talked about vertical discrepancy and sagittal discrepancy. This is transverse discrepancy. If it's a dental problem, when you upright the teeth should meet each other. But if it's a skeletal problem, then there will, even when you upright the teeth would not meet each other. Then that's how we know it's a skeletal discrepancy. But in cases of a crossbite, we have to make sure the crossbite is either due to deviation or the other term is displacement. If it's a displacement, that means patient has a premature contact, and after the premature contact, the mandible is displaced. Whereas in the skeletal discrepancy, the patient will bite in that position, in that displaced transverse position, the displaced transverse position without any premature contact. So how do we evaluate? Like this patient, we can see she has a discrepancy, a vertical discrepancy, but this discrepancy can be because of the soft tissue or because of the skeletal, because of the bone. So we do measurements in the photograph like that, like this, and see which part is not symmetrical. So take a digital photograph, draw lines and measure, and see which part is not symmetry. And also take a posterior anterior X-ray and draw the lines. I love to go into cephalometric of posterior anterior, but not in this lecture. So we can draw a line and see which part is not symmetric between the right and left to correct that part. If the face is asymmetry and the skeletal is not asymmetrical, that means the problem is in the soft tissue. If it's even the skeletal is asymmetry, then the problem is in the skeleton. Now we have a CBCT of the whole skull, so we can do the measurement in the CBCT of the skull to see the discrepancy also. Okay, this patient, she has also had a crossbite like this, but certain crossbites can be camouflaged. And this one was camouflaged, and she had a final result like this. So a little bit amount of camouflage is possible. This patient also, if we see this part here, slightly bigger compared to this part. Some part can be due to soft tissue also. Okay, but intra-occlusion, she did have a crossbite here. Okay, this part is biting more buccally and gets more buccal, the more posterior it goes. So we are trying to camouflage this. This is how she is now. So we can see the face mask here. So you know this is very recent during the COVID era, I would say. So every patient comes with a face mask. Not only the doctors wear face masks now. So this is the situation. So trying to settle the posterior occlusion and get a proper torque in the upper incisors. But we are getting there. We are improving the crossbite using some cross elastics. Use the button here to go to do cross elastics. Okay. This patient, she, as you see, she has an asymmetrical mandible. Although intraorally it does not look so bad, but to correct the centerline and the position of the chin, we needed to do surgery to correct the malocclusion. So surgery was done to correct it. She has a better symmetry now. The chin position is better moved in the center now, so she wouldn't have an asymmetrical chin. So this is immediately after surgery. We use elastics to get upper and lower occlusion together and the centerline corrected. So I'm on the final slide already. This is the take back message, the conclusion. We should categorize each part of the patient's anomaly systematically so that we won't miss anything. So I have done on skeletal part, right? Skeletal. So you categorize it anterior, posterior, transverse, and vertical. So what is the feature in the transverse? So you write in your patient whether the patient has a severe class 2 or moderate based on the A and B and the widths. Transversely, if you see there's a crossbite or deviation, then you write in this column whether the crossbite is more than 1 tooth width. For me to camouflage, if it's anything more than half of the tooth, then it might not be camouflaged. Or vertically, you rely on the ODI and rely on the amount of open bite, from where to where is the open bite, and also on the lower facial height, whether they increase. So with all these features, when you see it in this table, then you decide whether the patient can be camouflaged, and if he can be camouflaged, what would be the adverse effect? What I mean by the adverse effect is the retroclining of the lower incisors in class 3 cases. Not only the incisors are retroclined, the facial appearance also, the chin will be more obvious because the dental alveolar segment is moved inside. So it won't look so nice. The nose can be more obvious also after treatment. So soft tissue, you see how the profile, whether it's too concave or too convex, the transversely and vertically the proportions. Dentally, you see it's more than 1 molar class 2 or class 3, or if the overjet is too much, like in this case, more than 10 millimeters, then it might not be possible to camouflage. This is a midline. If the facial midline about 2 or 3 millimeters, you can still camouflage, but more than that, it's better to do the surgery. Or vertically, how much open bite or deep bite can do vertically. So, yep, I pass over to Mike to my able, trusted partner, Dr. Firdaus. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kati. I think we will hold the question and answering later on after Dr. Firdaus' presentation. So I will give the time and the room for you, Dr. Firdaus. Please go ahead.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Can you hear me at the moment? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. We can hear you.
I'm just gonna share the screen now. All right. Can you see the screen? Find my.
You can share your screen directly. We already grant your screen sharing.
All right. Can you?
All right.
See that? Okay. Lovely. All right.
All right. You can see your screen clearly.
All right. Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Ramadan. Hope some of you are fasting. We're fighting this COVID situation together. And I hope that everybody is all good in the world today. I'm glad to see there are people from Brazil, from United States, from UK. It must be 3 o'clock in the morning in UK now. And also a few other people. Let's just introduce myself. Of course, we're gonna talk about the modern orthodontic surgery, incorporating digital surgery and surgery first technique. These are the two things I wanna just emphasize today. I think Dr. Kati has shown you that we can do camouflage. Yes, of course, if you can do camouflage, go ahead, because the morbidity of orthodontic surgery is still on the high side. But things are getting better with what we have discovered in the last 5-6 years. Yeah. So in continuum of the talk by Dr. Novega, we're going to go on the theme of digital surgery. But at the same time, I'm going to introduce a little bit of surgery first. Myself and Dr. Kati were introduced to Dr. Sugawara in Japan, and he's taught us a lot on this. Okay, just introduction where I am. I'm from Malaysia. We live in Shah Alam, very far away from Bolivia, as one of our participants is from. It's around 17 hours time difference from Malaysia and Bolivia. I live in Shah Alam. 40 years ago, it was all rubber plantation, nothing of the sort here. But today we have a very well planned town in Shah Alam. I live very near to ICT, which is a suburb of Shah Alam. I work in a place called the International Dental Center at Avicenna Specialist Hospital. This is a 10-year-old facility, and it's expanding twice already in the last 5 years. This is the Avicenna or DEMC Specialist Hospital at night. If you have the chance, please come and visit us sometime. I also work here with Dr. Chu Eng Hai at the Glam Smile Design in Taman Tun, and also in the Curve in Damansara, which is another suburb of Kuala Lumpur. Okay, we also have what we call a dental drone digital laboratory. I think we are one of about 4 or 5 digital laboratory, fully digital laboratory in Malaysia. We don't use primary, we don't use stone to develop anything. We do accept alginate and CVS impregam impression, but we do primarily everything by digital scanning. So we do from zirconia cases, bridge implant, all the way to what we call aligners. My life is very much at home when I'm in the operating theater with Dr. Kati. We operate every week together, and this is where we are very at our prime in the operating theater. What do? I am an oral surgeon, so if you give me a lateral calf to analyze, you might as well not, because I am like the henchman. The generals are still the fellow who does the orthodontics. We are like the foot soldier. We execute what the generals are doing. Okay, so we do a little bit of the planning, but mainly the generals are still the orthodontists and the prosthodontists. I do a little bit more also on implant. We are one of the main center of implant dentistry in Malaysia. We do about 600 implants a year in our center. This is where I am. This is also where I'm at home in my clinical place. A nice room in the medical center. Okay, so we do a lot of scanning. We do we do a lot of these clear aligners. We do plan them here in our dental room laboratory. We have a good group of people who can really make sure that the aligners are well designed for the patient. Okay, and for the doctors. This is our 3D printing. This is the latest 3D printers in anywhere in the world. I'm very proud to work with people from all over the world. They'll be sending us cases here in Malaysia. Okay, so we also do some lecturing. We do program. We do it with Dr. Novega, with Dr. Ari. We have our NYU dentistry program. It's into our 8th batches already. We've been incorporating this for the last 6 years. Every year we do go to New York. So the next time we go to New York will be probably next year in April. But we are starting another group of batches of general dentists to train them as much as you can as a general dentist to do orthodontics. We don't do we don't do a full-fledged orthodontic program. These are for general dentists who wants to learn a little bit of orthodontics to supplement to their general dentistry. So if you are interested, please do contact us in Malaysia for the American Affiliated Clinical Orthodontic Training Program. Okay, now going back to the content of the story. Orthodontic surgery is something that is not new. It's been done since the 1860s, 1850s, during the time of the Civil War in America. So orthodontic surgery has been done since the 19th century. Yeah. So this is one of the early diagram of cases of coronadectomy or condylectomy that was done during those years. But the father of modern orthodontic surgery was Hugo Obergaser, an Austrian man. Contrary to popular belief, he is not the manager of Manchester United, although he does look like the guy. He is a very person who is very prime in my heart. I think we read all his articles and the continuous development of the surgery, and everybody looks up to him. He recently passed away, I think only in 2017 at the ripe age of 90 plus, 94, 95 years old. So he has made a lot of contribution to orthodontic surgery. What is orthodontic surgery? To me, it's very simple. I'm not very technical in the sense that I want to make terms simple for the patient to communicate. To me, orthodontic means ortho, which is straighten, gnatic, which means jaw. So straightening of the jaw. Surgery to correct the disharmony of the facial profile. Okay, in both anteroposterior, also from the coronal side. Yeah. The common facial profile disharmony, as you know, and very extensively discussed by Dr. Kati is the long lower jaw, where we have mandibular prognathidum and in skeletal class 3 disharmony. A case like this, if you can see here, is a very big discrepancy where you have a long lower jaw and a class 3 facial profile. Okay, so this is one of the cases that we have treated. Class 3 skeletal discrepancy shows, as you can see here, and if you see something like this to your practice, yeah, straight to the surgeon. I think this is not a case where we can do any camouflaging. Yeah. So if you can see, this is a lateral calf again of this particular patient, and you can see that this is not the discrepancy that you can fix with camouflaging with orthodontics. Although orthodontist or orthodontic practitioner is vital as part of the team to get this problem sorted out. So the common facial profile in disharmony also include a long upper jaw, such as maxillary prognathism or class 2 disharmony. This is another case. These are the cases we see in Malaysia, class 2 disharmony. As this patient also has some functional problem, he has OSA, obstructive sleep apnea, at the age of 16. Yeah, so I think his problem is going to go even worse as he age. This is a class 2. This is the guy again. You can see the occlusion, class 2 div 1. Okay, so when you have anteroposterior discrepancy, you have also the coronal discrepancy, where you have a gross skeletal facial discrepancy resulting in asymmetry. These are the sort of case that you can see facial asymmetry. A young man here, a 19-year-old, I think 20-year-old guy who came to see us. You can see that he has a little bit of discrepancy where his right side is a little bit longer than his left side. Yeah, so there is a midline shift. As you can see, right, hyperplasia of the mandible, although the maxilla is normal. Okay, you can see that the occlusal disharmony coincides with this, the right and the left. Okay, so what's a type of surgical procedure that is common and associated with orthodontic surgery? Types of surgery that we can offer is a single, double jaw surgery. You can do a segmental jaw surgery or combination of the above. The type of common surgical techniques that we use in the maxilla is the LaFour-1, the LaFour-2, the segmental premaxillar surgery, while the mandible is a bilateral sagittal split osteotomy and a genioplasty, as described by Dr. Kati just before. The LaFour-1 osteotomy was also pioneered by Hugo Obergaser. He is basically the father of orthodontic surgery. We look up to him. We still look back to his works when we do our work as a general principle. So a LaFour-1 osteotomy is where we detach the maxilla from the base of the zygomatic bone and move it forward or back. Yeah. So in this case, you can see different as you can see, this is part of the maxillary osteotomy. We are busy at work doing the osteotomy here. Yeah. So what are the risks of this sort of LaFour-1 osteotomy? It's quite straightforward procedure, except for there's a critical point at the pterygomaxillary osteotomy cut. This is something that you have to do well. If you don't do well, you get a lot of bleeding because the pterygoid plexus is quite near to the area. You can see here, this is where the pterygomaxillary cut is. You can see you have to do a very careful angulation with our chisel so that the cut is actually at the right place when we are doing the pterygomaxillary cut. Once we have done that, we can actually mobilize the maxilla and get that sorted out for you. Yeah. So the bilateral sagittal split osteotomy was also pioneered by Hugo Obergazer. It is a very unique surgical procedure that is like an envelope segmentation on the mandible. It can be very reliable, repeatable procedure, reduces complication in mandibular surgery, reduction in chances of inferior dental nerve damage. Basically, it's a sliding envelope, very elegantly designed. Over the years, there are design tweaks by people like Epker and Bell, people like you know, a few other fellows who have done quite a few tweaks on these cases. Yeah. Okay. So we can either push it forward or push it back. The lingual cut is the most risk because basically it is essentially a blind cut, and most complications come from a bad split. Yeah? If you don't cut well, you don't get the level right, you have a bad split that can go all the way down to the condyle. You can see that this is a very noisy in the theater. You can see that the spreader, the smooth spreader, you can actually go and fracture that lingual side. So that's where we go for the lingual split. Yeah. I hope the video is okay. Yeah. This is for surgery, and you can see that everything is done intraorally. There is no scars on the extraoral side. So this is still a major maxillofacial surgery. There is still major morbidity associated with this surgery. A lot of people get numb lips. A lot of blood is being lost, especially when you don't do the pterygoid maxillary cut very well. A lot of bleeding, a lot of complication, and very much so a complexity where a lot of the planning have not looked into things that can go wrong. Yeah. So how can we improve this surgery? So for me, to improve the surgery, technology is the key. When you have the technology, it will reduce the complexity, the morbidity, and the complication of this major surgery. So what is new in this world, which you can use as an armamentarium for this surgery? So the new technology means that you have high resolution CT scan, you have a digital 3D scannings, you have digital 3D printing today, and powerful surgical CAD/CAM software that can you can manipulate the surgery before you do the actual surgery. That means you're doing the architecture work, the background work, the preparation, and you know exactly where to go. It cuts away the guessing or the so-called acquired experience that you need to proceed with your surgery. So when we're talking about powerful CBCT scanning, we're talking about today with the the development of this CT scan, we can have a resolution slice of 0.5 millimeter. That is very high resolution, and we can use this as a CAD/CAM tool also to make sure that we get a good acquired result. We have the 3D scanners. 3D scanners are very accurate today. You can scan to an accuracy of microns. We're talking about 15 microns. Yeah. What you need even for a crown bridge is between 50 to 60 micron. We can now accurately scan up to the 15 micron. So this is not too bad. And then we have 3D printers. 3D printers used to be very slow, but today with the technology, with DLP lasers, we can do 3D printing within, if we want to do a surgical guide for these patients, it will take us not more than 2 hours to finish the complete printing. So We also have powerful planning software. There are many softwares developed over the years. We can use this software. We are working with our friends at AB Dental. We are looking at making new softwares which will make these orthodontic surgery a lot more accurate and more durable for our patients. The application of technology will make orthodontic surgery safer, faster, and more predictable. So how about looking at doing surgery first? Okay, now, this is a very controversial. A lot of people, when we talked about surgery first, okay, why do we want, we look at historically, why do people do surgery last? Why do we need to have the braces on first? Okay, the problem is when we do surgery, we need to have a reference point to align the maxilla to the mandible. A lot of the working plans are done by the orthodontist. So the orthodontists have to work with the surgeon, and I still believe that the orthodontists have the first say, or the first and the final say in any orthodontic surgery, because the occlusion is the reference. Orthodontic can align the occlusion to a point where we can actually plan for the surgery. We have to talk about decompensation. That means making the final, the end in mind, in terms of the occlusion, the end in mind. So a lot of the time we have to do the decompensation of the with orthodontics. It means class 3, you want to procline the teeth rather than retrocline, as you would in a camouflage case. You want to procline the teeth, and therefore sometimes this makes the patient looks worse. Yeah, I'll talk about that later. Why that has some implication in the progress of our program. So this makes the result more stable, as we used to do in the old days. In bad old days, when I graduated, we were still doing intermaxillary fixation of the maxilla and the mandible using tie wires, yeah, stainless steel tie wires. Because in those days the plates were not available, and a lot of the cases that we do were all done by stainless steel wires. The third, why do we do surgery last? Because we were taught by our gurus. The gurus that taught us, that nurtured us, that made us into skilled surgeons says, hey, if you want to do the work well, you have to do what I tell you, because it is proven, okay? And we'd have to respect that as well. So, so we were looking at that with all the technology that we have today. We would say that doing surgery first means that patient will have fast facial results without having to wait for the lengthy orthodontic work. You see, a lot of the problem that I face, we lose about 30% of our patients due to fatigue, anticipation fatigue. Because a lot of the time when we do the decompensation, we retrocline the teeth, they actually look uglier. And when they look uglier, they look more disharmonic, they tend to leave. They will not come back. The other is, of course, the financial. People, being people, they are also fickle. So when they think that they have to do things, they can do things spontaneously. They will commit spontaneously. When they are excited, this is the time when we want to do the surgery, because we want to get the results fast. And knowing millennials that we have today, they want instant gratifications. They want to have things done fast, and they are not so much worried about their teeth, looking at their teeth, but they are more worried about looking at their facial profile. So I'm just gonna, as a clinician, I like to show cases. So I'm going to show you the guy from the beginning. He's now a 20-year-old. He's a 19-year-old young man referred by his dental GP for the pain of his left TMJ, condyle. He has facial pain. So facial asymmetry was detected, and the GP suggested that it may be because of the facial asymmetry that he has this temporomandibular joint pain in the last 6 months. He is attending college. It's very stressful being a college student. And intraorally, when we had a look, he had a mandibular crosswire. So this is how it looks like with a facial asymmetry. He's having a longer right mandible than the left. The patient does, so one of the things that the patient, being a millennial, he doesn't want to wear braces. The patient is very conscious of the asymmetrical appearance. He gets a lot of notice from his friends, his peers. Patient wants to go overseas to continue study within a year. So these are the trigger point that we must look into when we are doing the treatment plan for him. And financial cost was not a heavy concern to him. So the treatment planning here was to do the orthodontic surgery first and to do clear aligners, because he wanted, why did we want to do our surgery first in this case? Because he wanted to go overseas. He is doing college, junior college now. He wants to go to an overseas university. So that is one of the consideration doing surgery first. The second is he doesn't want to wear braces. So we opted for clear aligner. The other thing is that if we are doing orthodontics for him now, when he goes overseas, perhaps this is going to be a management problem, because the clear aligners, if he was doing braces, we have to get supervision from the overseas doctor where he's attending university. And that could be a problem in terms of cost, in terms of treatment planning. So clear aligners, we can actually start off fast and we can finish it. We can automate as much as possible before he goes overseas. So in this case, we did the treatment planning. We decided that a 1-jaw surgery was good because his maxilla was quite normal. We did his computer guided treatment planning. We did all the solution that the criteria that were needed to do the computer guided. We decided to do a bilateral sagittal split osteotomy and a sliding genioplasty in this case. So this is the man here.
Surgery
so
first.
Surgery first case. I'm just going to reduce the sound. So you can see there's a cross bite on the left side, and this has to, and if you can see, you notice there's also a retained deciduous because there's congenitally missing second premolar there. Okay, the orthodontic surgery planning was done. We did all the planning. 3 types of wafer were made. Basically, the BSSO guide to do the BSSO, a final occlusal wafer, and a genioplasty guide. In this case, you can see with the guide, we can actually do a very good incision and also tracing of the mandible, and the cuts were very precise using a guide. Yeah. Bone screws were also utilized. This is one thing that we love about. As you can see, he has no braces. So how are we going to put in the maxilla and the mandible together to make sure that the alignment is there? So one of the things we've done is that we've used bone screws as an anchorage for later use to incorporate the clear aligner, but also in this case as a temporary intermaxillary fixation for the case. So we did a guide to use. As you can see here, this is the guide to do the genioplasty cut, and it's a very good, very accurate guide, and that guide gives us where to trace where we should cut the anterior mandible, yeah, where the chin level is, and we slide it forward. So it'll be a sliding forward genioplasty. As you can see, the chin profile after the genioplasty is quite acceptable. After the surgery is done, clear aligners are incorporated. You can see absolutely no orthodontics, just clear aligners, and his case is progressing quite well. That's him. Only 6 weeks after surgery, all the swelling has gone. He's lost a little bit of weight, you can see, but you can see that he looks more of a Korean star than before. Yeah? And he's lost all that disharmony, the facial disharmony, the facial asymmetry. It's quite symmetrical. Quite a pleasing result for us. Okay, so soft tissue prediction is our next target. We are developing some nice work from our partners in Taiwan using clever software and artificial intelligence to predict how the face would look like after surgery. So we are doing at the moment. We're getting good results, and perhaps you can see the case here. You can see there that the outline is the former orthodontic surgery, and where the final outline is seen here very well. So the advantage of orthodontic surgery or digital orthodontic surgery is the accuracy in the various cutting of the jaw, reproducibility of the safe cuts while anticipating difficult situation, faster surgery as it takes out the guesswork out of the procedure to predict the outcome of the face even before the surgery. And of course, without this digital orthodontic surgery, I believe surgery first would be not as predictable. So you can see that surgery first is predictable reality rather than the surgical bravery of the foolhardy. Yeah? So to look forward, we have to look back. Okay, I've been in this orthodontic line for the last 20 years. I'm happy to report that I saw a patient in 1999. This is him. He came to see me as a college student in 1999 with a very prognatic mandible. Of course, we did it traditionally. And this is also a case where his orthodontist sent him to me because he said there's no way that you can do camouflaging for this man because of the excessive mandible. It's a reverse overjet of almost 10 millimeters. We did him very, very nicely back in 1999. I lost touch with him until recently when I saw him again. We had a good cup of coffee together before the coronavirus struck the world, and that's him in 2020. Very stable. Imagine if you do camouflage orthodontics in this case, the profile won't be as stable, the dental won't be as stable. And I think this is one of those things that has done very well in this case. So again, for those who wants to learn more about orthodontics, clear aligners, orthodontic surgery, you're most welcome to inquire with us on the American Affiliated Clinical Orthodontic Training Program, where Dr. Ari and myself also have gone through. We've gone to NYU, and this is the 8th batch over the years. We shall overcome this COVID-19 pandemic. We will make it through, and we will become more prosperous and build a better society for us, especially here in Southeast Asia. This is my oromaxillofacial team, Dr. Kati, myself, a few, Dr. Hazmi is there. We've worked together very well. Seeking knowledge has brought me places and new friendships as well. I've learned from the masters, this being Professor Rienke in South Africa. We were with him for about a week, myself, Dr. Kati. We were with Dr. Sugawara in Japan. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture. I missed out the picture, but he is instrumental in giving us the belief in doing surgery first. And also, of course, we were in Santa Barbara as well, doing touring the world and learning refinement of orthodontic surgery. So thank you so much. You can contact me through my WhatsApp at 019-387-9262, or you can email me at malaysiadentist.com. As you can see there, this is the Twin Tower. It will still be there after the coronavirus. and I'm sure that we will do well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Firdaus and Dr. Katiravan. All right, doctors, if you still have more questions, please don't hesitate to ask, because we have approximately another 15 minutes for question and answer. Please go ahead. Okay, I think some of the question already answered by Dr. Katiravan. Okay, maybe we should wait another 2 or 3 minutes. If no one asking question, I think we will finish this webinar for today. And doctors, don't worry, because next week we will have another webinar. We will have 2 doctors, which is the one doctor is from Korea, South Korea, is an orthodontist, Dr. Yeh-Yun Kim, and also another specialist oral and maxillofacial surgeon, maybe you know him, Dr. Firdaus, Dr. Jaebong Park, also from South Korea. Those doctors are the inventor of WebChat, a cephalometric tracing, web-based cephalometric tracing that has artificial intelligence technology. I've been using this software since last month, and I found that this software is very powerful, not only for cephalometric tracing, but we can also simulate our treatment from the skeletal and also from our patient appearance from extraoral. So I think it's very good software, and I'm pretty sure Dr. Kati and Dr. Anand also already tried this software, and we all agree that this software is very powerful, right? And in the evening, we will have Dr. Stephen Decker. He's an orthodontist from UK, from London, UK, and he will speak about the power of lingual braces. So doctors, for you who want to join the webinar for next week, please send an inquiry to by email to info@orthosociety.com, and we will give you the free access. All right. Okay, we have some question here. We have some question here from Dr. Sutrisna. All right. How about the nerve, doc? Is it still work? Mandibular nerve, I mean. All right. Or it's already answered by Dr. Kati. The patient will have temporary paresthesia, but will be working after a few months.
Yes, yes.
See?
Yeah.
I think all the question already answered by Dr. Kati very well.
Yeah.
So I think yes, please, please.
Yeah, I think that's quite true. You know, paresthesia is always a complication that we want to avoid. And using a surgical guide, the digital surgical guide that we produce from this computer program, we can actually do a better cuts. And these cuts will then predict where the inferior dental canal is. And therefore, we can avoid the nerve. Yeah. So in terms of access, in terms of the actual lingual cut, that will mean that less damage to this nerve. And that's the beauty of having the software and the 3D printed guide, cutting guide. Okay.
Okay, Dr. Firdaus. Dr. Kati, you have one question from Dr. Sri Suraya. Dr. Sri Suraya is from Malaysia as well. She was asking about, hi, Dr. Kati and Dr. Firdaus. I have patient with SNA 92, SNB 81. The overjet and overbite are normal. The inclination of the upper incisor also normal. Is this case is surgery cases? Thank you, Dr. Kati and Dr. Firdaus.
I think that's, yeah. Dr. Kati,
Firdaus, go ahead.
Yeah, Dr. Kati, you
Okay,
are
right.
better with it.
Yeah. In order to diagnose a patient properly, we can't just based on these 2 values or to see the patient clinical picture, see what the patient wants, then only decide whether it's a surgery case or not. So information not enough.
Send the pictures to us.
Yeah.
We're more than happy to assess it.
Okay, you need to send another information to Dr. Kati, Dr. Sri Suraya. All right. And then another question from Dr. Samuel Cool. Hi, doctor. For self-made aligners compared to big companies like Invisalign, do you see any limitation of self-made aligners compared to the companies like Invisalign? All right. I think this question is for Dr. Firdaus. All right.
Okay. Self-made aligners are something of a novelty at the moment, but I can envision one day that they become very something that will revolutionize society. As you know, in the old days, when we before the industrial revolution, everybody worked in a small workshop. Okay, so if you want to buy the clothes, you will go to the tailor. The tailor will then measure everything for you. Okay, this is very specialized. The person who does it well. That is why you can see even today the tailors are the best, but it's expensive because you cannot fight the guys in the big factory who can churn out big numbers of ready-made clothes. But as time goes on, people go back to the tailors because they want refinement. So the idea of the self-made aligners means that there must be increase in technology of artificial intelligence. That means that the computer can actually enhance the skill of the surgeon, because at the end of the day, if you are making self-made aligners, the person who makes the success of the aligner is the ability of the dentist to actually drive the technology. Okay, so if that makes sense to you. So there are good and bad of making it yourself, but also you can cut the cost long term because you cut the middle person. You know what I mean? That means, but at the same time, the cost of starting is very expensive because you need to buy all this equipment to get things running. So that's why maybe the future will be in between. Things like Blue Sky Bio, which actually give you the free software, you train yourself, you make a good design, and then with a little bit of money, you send it to them, they will then construct the aligners for you. Okay. Dr. Kati.
Thank you so much, Dr. Firdaus. Thank you so much. All right, doctors, I think this is the end of our today's webinar. Thank you for attending and thank you for the speakers. Very great presentation, Dr. Kati, Dr. Firdaus, and also Dr. Celestino Nobrega. And I will wait for your another presentation, Dr. Anand Maria. Okay, let's good to see you again, and hopefully we can meet on our next others webinars. And stay safe, everyone. Keep healthy, and goodbye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.